What are the first critical questions? We're studying a passage of Scripture. What are the questions that must be asked first? Exegesis says, what did it mean? Yes. What are the first questions in exegesis? What are the first questions in exegesis of the text? Well, all right. Now you're asking them backwards. Number one. Anyone? We're real close to it now. Number one. What's the first question? Who is the author? Number two. Text. To whom was it written? Number three. Keep going. No, that's what we're trying to establish. What did it mean? Number three. Who wrote it? To whom? When? Date. Next. Yes, where? Where? Well, if we keep going, why will come naturally to it. All right, before we can even say who and to whom, let's remind ourselves of some background and setting kind of material. What do we know about the Roman world in general and the position of Judaism within it? Note the position of Judaism within it. Why did I say that? Because when we talk about the first century and Christianity, Christianity is what? Is a piece of Judaism. Right? All right? The Roman world been around for quite a while, by the first century. The empire was in place by the first century BC. All the pieces had fit together by the first century BC. Largest empire history, approximately 550 million people. In other words, twice as many people as in the United States. 2.5 times as big as the United States. A lot of people. Different languages and cultural groups, different religions. Religion. What was the case with Roman religion? If you can say Roman religion. Where had the Romans in general gotten their gods? Yeah. The Roman pantheon was really a Latinized version of the Greek religions. Of course, the Greeks had much earlier borrowed the pantheon and most of their famous myths from the Near East. Yeah. Now, Roman society, of course, was not the same as, but a development from the older Eastern religions. The most characteristic thing is that the old religions were the worship of nature. Worship of nature under its various specific forms. What do I mean by that? It has to do with the heresy that's being combated in the pastoral epistles. What do I mean it was the worship of nature under its specific forms? When the Greco-Roman religions were worshiping Neptune, they weren't so much interested in a person as what? It wasn't the person Neptune that was of significance. It was what? The force in the sea. The forces of nature at work in the sea. The forces that brought about the tides and the currents and so forth. The various gods were the personifications of the various forces in nature. Okay? Now, the old religions were losing their influence with many. For 500 years, there'd been Greek philosophy around. There were agnostics and atheists in the Roman world. That was popular. Cynicism had made that popular. Cynicism was a philosophical movement. And so there were the worship of all the various forces of nature and those who worshiped nothing at all. But the great majority of the common people were easily influenced, mystical types. Much of the Roman world was enslaved. In fact, 90% of the Roman world was of the slave class, except for certain special groups who were exempt from enslavement. In some groups, some particular groups, because of their political influence or importance, you had to do something really bad to get yourself enslaved. Normally, members of certain groups would never be part of the slave class. What am I thinking of? In particular, would Jews have been slaves? What? Well, I'm thinking of Jews in general. Were Jews slaves in the Roman world? No. Why? Yeah. The various events in the history of Judaism had spread Judaism around. Where was the greatest part of the Jewish world directly involved with our pastoral epistles? Where was the biggest part of the Jewish world in the Roman Empire? Where were the Jews clustered? What? In cities, yes, that's the right answer. What was the biggest Jewish city in the Roman world? Anyone? I'm ignoring Jerusalem because it doesn't even come close. What city had 3 times as many Jews as Jerusalem? Where was the real center of Judaism? Contributed some of our chief figures in the New Testament. What? Ephesus. Not even close. That Ephesus was a little bird by comparison to this great city that rivaled Rome. Alexandria. 1 million Jews in Alexandria. More Jews in Alexandria than in Palestine. Real center of the Jewish world.